Hi everyone, my name is Yolanda. I study psychology and I'm in my second year. I'm also the Welfare and Inclusion Representative for the School of Psychological and Behavioural Sciences. So during my first year, I lived in a student accommodation with my best friend. We lived in a studio which had two beds, two wardrobes, two study tables, but we shared a kitchen and a bathroom with each other. Even though I lived with my best friend, I still experienced a lot of homesickness as I wasn't in a town that I was used to, as I'm originally from London. So I'm used to the busy city life compared to Coventry, which is more quiet and more relaxed. And also, prior to coming to university, I wasn't used to being away from home for a long period of time, or I wasn't used to being away from my family member. Even though my mum has travelled occasionally and left me and my siblings with family members, I was still around someone that I knew. So a couple of things that did help me when I did feel a bit homesick was calling my mum or my siblings. I did also print out a lot of pictures of me with my family and my friends, which I stuck up all around my walls. So I still did have that feeling of home with me. I also tried to decorate my room as close to how I would at home because when I'd come back from class, it did feel nice to come to a room that did kind of look like how it would look back at home. I also got a part-time job which did help me because it kept me very busy as I'd be working, and when I wasn't working I'd be in university. So one of the main things that helped me when I felt homesick was doing activities that I'd regularly do in London. So one main things that I would do is I'd go to cinema a lot with my friends. So anytime I did get that feeling of homesickness, going to the cinema did help. So I'd recommend doing activities that you're familiar with that you do back at home. So if it's going to the park, I'd recommend going to the park. If you enjoy going on walks, I would go on a walk. If you like going shopping, there's a lot of different shops that we have in Coventry, so that would definitely help with feelings of homesickness. When I started my first year, it was straight after lockdown. So, as you can imagine, I was used to being stuck in my room and I kind of forgot how to socialize. And on top of that, I did live with my best friend in student accommodation. So, seeing as was the person that I felt most comfortable with, I didn't really see the need of making any friends. So, in first year, I wouldn't say that I made that many friends. And also, living in student accom, one thing that I personally realized is that a lot of people tend to come to university with the friends they already have from wherever they came from. So, it can be a bit intimidating to introduce yourself, but you honestly don't lose anything if you just introduce yourself as it's a friendly face that they have, and you never know, those could be the friends that you eventually end up becoming friends with for your whole 3 years or 4 years at university. So I'd say one of the main things people dread when starting university is making friends, as it's a very scary experience. However, people tend to overlook the fact that the friends you do make, they'll come naturally as you'll be meeting new people every day. So this can be on campus, on your courses, in your accommodation. So eventually you will make friends and those friends will be the right people for you. One of the main ways you can make friends is by joining clubs and societies, as you will already have that common shared interest with the people that are part of the societies and clubs. So an example of a society is gender equality or game society. So if that's something you're interested in, you can join that. Also, if you're a fan of sports, we've got a lot of like different sports clubs that we have. When it comes to your Q&A sessions and seminars, the best way to make friends in those classes is by introducing yourself. Especially in your seminars, you're more likely to make friends there as you'll be with these people for the rest of the academic year. And during group work, you can get a chance to know each other. You can introduce yourself, explain like why you kind of decided to study this course. And in your Q&A sessions, you can tend to sometimes find yourself with people that study different courses than you. So, for example, for me, in some of my Q&A sessions, I found myself speaking to people who study criminal psychology, forensic psychology, and sports psychology. So it will be a good way to kind of like get to know new people. So when it comes to making friends in your student accommodation, one of the things that I would recommend is knocking on your neighbors' doors, especially if you live in a studio or a studio, as you won't get that shared experience. As when you live in a flat with other people, it's easier to make friends that way. So overall, I'd say I made more friends in my second year than in my first year, and I think being a welfare and inclusion rep helped a lot as it allowed me to make a lot of new friends and make a lot of new connections. So if that's something you're interested in, I would definitely recommend signing up. Overall, I'd say not to worry too much about making friends, as you will find a lot of opportunities to make those friends that are right for you. Although, if you do find your feelings of loneliness and homesickness getting a bit too much for you to handle, I would recommend speaking to someone you trust about it. But I do hope you found my tips on how to manage homesickness and how to make friends useful.